slightly spooky vibes this evening, mainly just because of the lighting. It is almost Halloween though, as it happens. So as I am not what you'd call normal, I've left the comfort of my home to come and sit outside in my car to review two films. One I saw on Sunday and one I've just watched tonight. So we'll go back to Sunday's film first, and that was a little British-Irish comedy called Pixie, and I enjoyed it immensely. I have a big love for Irish humour. I saw The Commitments when it first came out when I was about 10 or 11 years old, so absolutely far too young to see it, but my dad kind of bent the rules a little bit because of our love of that sort of music. So I've always had a passion for Irish comedy and Irish humour, and I've always said if I wasn't a Geordie, I'd love to be a Dubliner. The film Pixie is actually set around Sligo, and it centres on a young woman called Pixie, played by British actress Olivia Cooke, and she's a bit of a trouble magnet, likes to get herself into scrapes, and she falls in with two young men who live nearby. They are played by Ben Hardy and Daryl McCormack, and they have found themselves in a bit of bother in so much as they've got a dead body in their boot and a bag full of drugs, and they're not entirely sure what to do about either of those things, and Pixie is just the woman to help them. It's sort of a caper, bit of a road movie. It's quite slapstick in places. It is very, very funny. It's quite violent. 15 certificate. Quite a few people get shot. There's some quite nasty... some violence, I suppose. But it made me laugh a lot. It obviously stars Colm Meaney because it's the actual law in Ireland that if you're making a film in Ireland, you have to have Colm Meaney in it. He was in The Commitments that I mentioned earlier. He also doesn't seem to have aged, or rather he aged to a certain point and then just stopped because he basically looks exactly the same as he did about 25-30 years ago. It also stars Alec Baldwin as an Irish gangster priest. Yes, you heard me. And it was a joy. A sweary, violent, funny, silly romp, and kind of exactly what a person needs in these times of the Rona and everything else. I'm loving being back in the cinema. I know people aren't exactly flocking back, and since I last made a video where I talked about St Maud, the entire Cineworld chain has closed its doors in the UK for the foreseeable future, which makes me incredibly sad. So please go and see Pixie or anything else that takes your fancy, but I definitely recommend Pixie. It is enormous fun and made me laugh a lot. It's also nice and short. It's about 90 minutes, which is the perfect length for a comedy. There are some comedies I absolutely love, but it really bugs me that they're over an hour and a half because I don't ever think a comedy should be. So the film is called Pixie. As I said, it stars Olivia Cooke, who I believe was in the ITV version of Vanity Fair. One of the male leads is played by Ben Hardy, who you might recognise from Bohemian Rhapsody, played Roger Taylor, Queen's drummer. He was in EastEnders as well back in the day. He's very good. His Irish accent isn't perfect, like I picked up straight away. First of all, I'm going, I know his face from something. And I could absolutely tell that he wasn't a native Irishman, but he does a good job of the accent. The third of that trio is an actor called Daryl McCormack, who I don't think I've seen before, but he was also very good. And yeah, it was just enormous fun. I really enjoyed it. So a big thumbs up from me. Perhaps not a film you need to go to the cinema to see. I think it would have been just as enjoyable if I'd watched it at home on the telly box, but I definitely would seek it out, particularly if films like The Commitments and that sort of Roddy Doyle type humour is your thing. A massive thumbs up from me. So that's Pixie. Go and see it, or catch it when you can. Just please go and see something, and hashtag save our cinemas.